See how this actually goes. Okay.
Thank you all so much for being here. We've got some dignitaries in the crowd. Maybe I'm trying to. Justice Jimmy Irving is in the house. Jimmy, would you stand up?
Nobody would ever say I can't see, I'm not very interesting, and it was a little bit taller than post there involved. At any rate, it's really good to see everybody. I wanted to come down here today for a couple of reasons. First of all, as somebody who was running 4 statewide elections, some successful, some not. I want to thank those of you who were in the room and those of you who were watching all that for all of the help that you did. I had almost a 25-year career in public service in 3 different jobs, 2 of which were elected, and 1 of which I never got. And I know who did the work necessary to make that possible. And while we were not successful last year in our attempts to re-elect me to the Supreme Court, to elect Judge Lee, to elect other judges, I know that a lot of people did a lot of hard work. And I know I'm grateful to you, and I possibly feel the work that was done on our hand. And I want to come down here today and say, the second thing I want to say is that we need to learn from the lessons. We need to learn the lessons from our experiences in recent elections. No single election is finished. There's always another day. And there is another day coming up in 2024, and another one in 2026, and another one in 2028, and another one in 2029. So those of us across the state who are interested in the future of this party, who are grateful for what it's done for the citizens of our state, need to get together and decide what it is we've done right, what it is we need to do, and rethink how we are doing what we're doing. My sense is that we can election reforms to reach the cycles if we are in a period of time in which the average voter votes on the basis of party affiliation, and nothing else. And that means, first of all, that we need to get a message out there that covers everything that this party believes in and covers the offices that we are seeking to elect to, so that folks have a reason to vote for. And it's interesting that I say that because if you think about the campaign I ran last year, it wasn't that campaign. I ran a campaign that said these should be partisan office. And with my individual, look at my individual qualifications compared to my opponent, that it wasn't. And I think we're in a time where we need to have a unified party message that applies to basic branch candidates, judicial branch candidates. The other thing is we need to remember that we are a state as a whole. All counties need help. All counties need help. That is the most important thing in the outcome of elections is who shows up to vote. What can we do to enhance our chance of turning out the most voters who are favorable to our people? And I know in the discussions today, it needs to focus on those 3 things. thank you again for all that you've done for me. Thank you so much for your friendship over, in some cases, we think over between 4 and 5 days. Thank you very much for that. Have a good meeting. Thanks for letting me be here. I'll shut up.
Urban and I go back there to you got the sensor on a bid back in 1977, because those were me for vice president of college gyms, and I won by 1 vote. Larry Hall is with us today. Larry saying, I feel like I'm walking out of the Price is Right. He's also served as secretary for military veterans affairs in North Carolina. He's the former Democratic leader in the state house in Sombrero County. Larry, pray this morning.
Bring me the word. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank all of you because I know your party is faithful. And second, Jimmy, I got to work on your first campaign. That's way back. The hair was great, and I did there. So
That's where I'm at.
yeah, that's right. That's where we met on campaign trail. But I want to thank all of you. I see a lot of people who helped me in the past. Of course, all our successes due to the party and folks some level doing what it's supposed to do. I won't echo everything Jimmy said. It's all true and needs to be addressed. But I want to do this, and there's several legislators in the room. I'm going to make one exception and recognize Lucy Allen. I don't know if he's getting to her or not, but that's my heart there. We got a responsibility, and I came from a meeting in Chapel Hill this morning. Sorry I couldn't be with you earlier. It's not about just looking up. It's about us doing all we can where we are. And we don't want to get caught in the trap of Washington didn't do this, so we don't have to do that. And then the local party says, well, Raleigh didn't do this, so we don't have to do that. The only way we can going forward is all of us do the maximum we can do and should do at our level, whatever level that is. You can't criticize someone unless they've done something. You can't criticize someone unless they've done something. And then the second part of that is, what have you done so that you can be criticized? It takes all of us, everybody's important. The local level is important, the state level is important, the national level is important, but we all got to maximize if we want to win. That's turnout, the vote, and everything else as far as our relationships with our precinct chairs and our county chairs and our caucuses. But we got to do it. If we don't all benefit, as I did my term in the state house being a secretary under Roy Cooper. But going forward, we have to maximize wherever we are and value every level of this party, value every element of this party, and we got to go forward together.
Prayer. The next person I'll recognize is State Senator who has had surgery here recently. I'm thinking you ought to just sit down. I'm going to have you stand up. Floyd McKissick and I served in Young Democrats, and we got a picture together in 1978. We're standing on the steps of the governor's mansion after college Democrats put on the campaign center of 78. Floyd and I have been friends ever since, and it's an honor to have him as the candidate for vice chair. It's an honor to have him here with us. Former Senator and now Commissioner Floyd McKissick.
And we thank all of you for being here this afternoon. You are the grassroots of the Democratic Party. You are the ones that are interested, concerned, committed, and want to make sure that we turn the blue. And that's going
on the same team. It doesn't make a difference whether we're a little bit left, a little bit right. We are that big tent party, and we can get it done. And this year we had these results. I mean, we have 7 Democrats elected in Congress because we had 50 Republicans. We can make ourselves work. We were lucky to make sure that the governor sustained his veto when it comes to bad legislation. That's something we feel proud of. He did not quite get over the finish line. He missed it by about 4 percentage points. But I want to thank each and every one of you and the over the campaign and all those that came together to get her that close. Because that's important. And yes, we've been where I am today. Made an excellent justice on this Court of Siena. We've got to do better. But I want to remind you that Republicans have a master plan. They came in and they decided all judges in the state don't run on a partisan basis. They were statewide, and a lot was global now. And they put those labels there as Republicans because they thought it would give them an advantage. And they got rid of public financing that was available to judges on the statewide office. This was coordinated, this was orchestrated, and this year they were lucky. They were lucky. In 2018, we were lucky. We were able to get a majority of Democrats in that state Supreme Court because we worked at it. We can thank Governor Cooper for his work. He went out and raised money to break the majority. We can be thankful for what we did. We had Congress and Donald Trump. We had all of us come out and vote. Now we can do better in these off-year elections. You got to build this rural political infrastructure. It's something very critical. I've been actually doing it. I've been going across the state with community leaders, party officials. They help do what is necessary to build that infrastructure. Because in some instances, we get a good community in front. That's what we have to be concerned about. I have served as the first vice chair. I would appreciate the privilege of being able to do that again. I served 13 years in state senate, was number 2 in our leadership structure, and our Democrats, and 4 in seniority on the entire chamber. Served in our executive council, served as the executive committee, but more importantly, worked with many of you. I want to say each and every one of you, some of you in your communities and in your districts. We have to do this. It's imperative that we do it. It's not just for us, it's for the next generation. Because we want to make this state a better state, a state that everybody will look at their human potential, but more importantly, one where the rights of individuals, regardless if you're black, white, Asian, or what your religion may happen to be, or your sexual identity, sexual orientation, and everybody has a right. So to that potential, and they'll respect it wherever they can go, wherever they may be. That's what the Democratic Party is about. That's what it symbolizes. That's what we have to work for. Please, we got a good group of people here. Let's elect a great chair. Let's elect a great team. I would love to be a member of that team as your first vice chair. Thank you very much.
One defendant, one man actually just stand out for about 5 minutes. So you got 30 seconds, John. John Garson is the chair of the Orange County Democratic Party, which is one of the rock star counties in North Carolina. He was a graduate of Columbia Law School, which will not hold against him because he is a proud party owner. And that's just the way it is. John Garson from Orange County.
Thank you all. Good afternoon, everyone. Y'all, my name is Joe Garson. I'm chair of the Orange County Democratic Party. I'm a former state voter protection director for that redone congressional election, 9th congressional district, redone for the GOP battle crop targeted at black voters, at Lumbee voters, at poor voters generally. I'm an organizer, I'm a fundraiser, I'm a practicing attorney. And I'm going to begin with just rehearsing a few cliches for y'all that I think are actually true. So bear with me, okay, and buckle up. Number 1, victory has many parents, and defeat is an orphan. no applause necessary for that. It's a sober cliche. Even saying that, I get more depressed, right? Number two, you can't do the same thing the same way, time and again, and expect different results. That's someone's definition of insanity. Number three, this is our great state motto. Esse comedere, to be rather than to see. What does all that Latin mean? It means that you have to be real. You have to be accountable. You can't fake things. You can't say the sky is blue when it's not. Here's the truth, y'all. Here's why I'm running for first vice chair as an organizer, a fundraiser, and as someone who's been committed to building a better Democratic Party. Right? No, we did not have a win season. You do not need to be steeped in the data to know what a total failure to pass election cycle was. All right? Can you just let us get there? Whether you are grassroots, whether you are running for second vice chair. We are running as workhorses. Dr. Kimberly Hardy, everyone. We are running as workhorses. We are running to do something and not to be something. We are running because we're fed up. We're running to work with anyone here devoted to change. And we're running because we know that the flip side of not leaving everything on the field is that we do not know what's possible. I'm Jonah. I want to be your first vice chair. I want Dr. Kim Hardy to be your second vice chair. We're ready to lead with the good folks up here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioner McKissick. Thank you to everyone who put this room together, and especially to you. Thank you.
You mentioned that we've got candidates for second vice chair. No, they don't get to talk. However, Kimberly Hardy has been recognized as Democratic Women Vice Chair. Came in perfect timing. There she is over here. Give her a hand, please. The next accomplished board member, Maxine, is here. Maxine, back here in the back. Current second vice chair, the Honorable Mayor Pro Tem of the town of Hillsborough, Matt Hughes, is in the house as well, Matt. Melvin Williams is going to bring up the rear, and I've got an announcement from him. We're not going to do it right now because it's time for what you came here for, and that is to hear from our chair candidates. This group of chair candidates, I can tell you, having been on the executive council since the 70s and solidly since the 80s, this is an outstanding group of candidates. Each one of them brings something to this party that the party very much needs. I'm going to let them tell you about themselves. We're going to do alphabetical by first name. And Anderson, you're first up. See, Anderson got a whistle right off the bat. You're first up, and I'm going to mute mine and give us about 3 minutes. Now, this is not lawyer time. This is like, real people time. Okay, thank you.
Can everybody hear me?
You're still sitting in the dark. Oh, I'm sorry, Deborah, if you turn on these lights. That's a little better. Thank you.
Can everybody in the back see me okay? That's what okay, good. I want to make sure everybody can hear me, see me. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to be here with us today to decide the future of the state party. I really appreciate the opportunity to get up here and speak in front of you. My name is Anderson Clayton. I use she, her pronouns. I'm born and raised in Person County, North Carolina, a county that the Democratic Party left behind a long time ago. just like other counties across the state of North Carolina. I'm running for state party chair because Sherry Beasley should be our United States Senator right now. 74 counties in want to be right this year. We left more seats uncontested in the North Carolina State Senate than we have in our state's modern history. And those are the real facts of this election cycle. We need someone who is serious about recruiting candidates in every corner of this state, somebody who understands that organizing everywhere is worth it, and that people across this state are worth your fight, because that is what this party needs to do. I am tired of the Republican fear-mongering in my community and communities just like mine across North Carolina who have felt that their voices have been silenced in this party for far too long. We have a Democratic message to give to rural North Carolinians right now, and we're not doing it, and we need to. I serve as the Person County Democratic Party Chair, and under my leadership, the Roxborough City Council flipped from red to blue because we ran people in that community that had the impact and the ability to know that community. We have a majority minority city council now because we ran people that are actually representative of the folks that they want, of the community they represent. And I think that's what we need to do everywhere, in rural areas, in urban areas, everywhere in between. Sherry Beasley is not a United States Senator right now because we didn't get out our voters from uptown Charlotte to rural Edgecombe and Nash and Henderson counties right now. That's all out of this state. And we've got work to do, and we need people that want to be workhorses on behalf of the party, that know people on the ground, and that care about this, and that want to make sure that that people everywhere hear our message. This race, why I'm in this, is not about one person. It is not about fighting against the people that are in leadership right now. This is about the direction of this party and the energy that it needs to have to go forward in this state. It is a decree, it is a desire to make sure that people across North Carolina understand that Democrats are going to fight for them again, because they always have been. And we've never left people behind before, and we're not going to do it anymore. Thank you all so much. ClaytonNorthCarolina.com is where you can find my platform. It dropped this morning. If you'd like to join us after this, I'd love to have everybody in my house in Person County, North Carolina, in person. Thank you so much.
Next candidate is our state chair, Bobby Richardson. Bobby.
Thank you and your team for organizing this event. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today. I know Saturday is a beautiful day. You could have been doing anything else, but this shows just how important politics is and the state of North Carolina is to you. I am currently the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, and we had some successes this year. We sent 7 congressional members to the U.S. House in Washington. This is something we had not done in over a decade. We also helped keep the governor's veto proof in place in the House. It's true we did not have veto proof in the Senate, but it was not because of effort. We elected and we recruited, and we trained senators, and we did have a unique winning in Cabarrus County, and we're so grateful for that. We also elected sheriffs up and down the ticket. We were able to save some school board seats, some clerk of court seats, and we have a year-round organizing program that was productive. Out of all of the things that we did, we knocked on 922,000 doors. That included everyone in this room that knocked on any door, that called and asked for any directions, that participated in the GOTV effort. We also sent out 6.1 million texts, and those texts made a difference in the lives of people that received them. We were very instrumental in also having a voter protection team. The voter protection team was responsible for making sure that our candidates felt safe and would go to the polls and not be harassed. We decreased the efforts and the harassments and the antagonisticness of the polls by a large percent. We only had 1 or 2 issues that came up at the polls. And that's because our attorneys were ready and they recruited you and many other people, and they recruited tons of lawyers to make sure that we could address any issue that came up at our voter protection team. We had a comms team of some people, that's a communication team. We had a comm team that covered the General Assembly. We had a comm team that covered the federal candidates. And we also had a comm team that worked with all of the comm teams to make sure that we were getting out the messages. We had over 48 visits to states, not to states, to different counties. We came when you asked us. There were counties that did not choose to have us there because they were still undergoing the efforts of protecting themselves from COVID. We were successful in making sure that each county that was organized did receive financial support. They did receive the support of Mobilize. They did receive the support of Vote Builder. And we also did packets that you could personalize and use in your district. We had office hours so that if people were confused about what the process was to do a particular task, we did office hours. And we also did year-round training. We trained county chairs, we trained precinct chairs, we trained treasurers, and we also trained people on how to use Zoom. So I know that we did not have the successes that we wished for, but we are all in this together. And if we won together. If we lost together. And one thing about our organizers, we heard you when you said, we do not want these organizers coming from out of state. We want local organizers. We hired more local organizers and more organizers from Eastern North Carolina that has ever been organized in the history of the North Carolina Democratic Party. We need to put our disappointment, our losses, and put our strength together and come together and be united for 23-24, because we've got a lot of work to do. Both for Bobby Richardson for re-election for your county state chair, and I will promise you, we will deliver even more. And we thank you so much. But every year is a learning year for us. Thank you.
Eric Hiroshima.
Thanks, Senator Lorenzo. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, y'all. Thank you all for taking the time to come out here. My name is Eric Hiroshima, and I'm originally from Southern California. So collectively at this table, I've probably got some of the least amount of time here in North Carolina, especially when I look across the crowd and I see centuries, literally, of Democratic Party involvement in politics. Y'all are pretty impressive. But I was first stationed here in North Carolina in 1992 at Camp Lejeune. I spent over half my career there. When I left active duty in 97, I actually joined up with John Deere Company in Raleigh, out of the corporate mowing headquarters. Then 9/11 happened, and I got mobilized, and I remained on active duty ever since then. One of the questions that was asked me earlier was, how do I translate some of my military experience into what it would mean to be chair for the North Carolina Democratic Party? The first thing I'm going to tell you is that I am all about perseverance. That's sticking to it, getting the job done, being aggressive about it. And I want to share with you my inspiration for that perseverance. In 1942, my grandmother's family was interned out of California. Their first stop was a horse stall in Los Alamitos at the racetrack while they were waiting for the camps to be built. In 46, they were deported to Japan. Most folks don't even realize that. Yeah, we took American citizens and forced them to move to Japan. My grandparents became subsistence level farmers. And in 56, by happenstance, a Navy lieutenant commander from a nearby base in Iwakuni recognized my grandmother. He said, "Billy, what the heck are you doing in that rice paddy? You need to come work on the base." So she got a job as being secretary, because she was bilingual, at what is currently Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni. In 58, she saw a movie at the theater, The White Cliffs of Dover, and it made her miss home, America. So she packed up her 5 children and came back to the United States without her husband. I was in 58, y'all. And so that's where I draw my inspiration from. Whenever I'm feeling down, like after this last general election, I pick myself up by the bootstraps and I think about all of the pain and suffering that my grandmother went through and the rest of the family. And that's what helps drive me on. And as Democrats, I think that's an object lesson learned. Another quote I heard a couple of days ago, somebody asked me and said something to the effect of, you know, Democrats seem to have embraced delusion. I'm like, nah, not this guy. And as you can hear by a lot of the words of enthusiasm from previous speakers, we're all fighters, right? We just need to share that enthusiasm, get that enthusiasm out, and show our perseverance as we drive forward. We can do this, y'all. And I look forward to working with you and making this happen. Thank you all for your time.
Okay, step out here, right here. Eva Lee is next. Eva is new to this field in some ways, and yet she's talked about running for some time. We're delighted to have her. Eva?
Good morning. I'm Eva Lee and I'm from Wake County. I've served for 5 years on the SEC as well as my county CEC. I've been a precinct chair, a vice chair, and secretary, and I'm currently the 3rd vice chair of the 2nd Congressional District. I was also honored as Senior Democrat of the Year in 2021. If you look over here and you see my state fair backdrop from 2019, you will see that I refuse to be gerrymandered and I will leave no voter behind. There is no arbitrary line on a piece of paper that will stop me from bringing voters to the poll. There is no race on the ballot that is too small for me to care about, and if you elect me as chair of the party, my immediate first agenda item is to start filling the pipeline for 100% of every race on every ticket throughout North Carolina. I have a track record of inspiring people to run for office, and I will get more Democratic seats on the Council of State. We will win statewide races. Furthermore, I will create and, more importantly, execute a ground game that is unstoppable. We all know what has gone before, and we simply cannot continue the status quo. You deserve a chair who can execute an unstoppable ground game and give you 16 electoral votes in 2024. You need a chair who can think past, around, over, and through the GOP ugliness and emanate coherent, consistent messaging that reaches the hearts, minds, and souls of North Carolina voters. We need Blue News. We need 5 a.m. Blue News talking points every single day. You need a chair who is accessible. If you elect me chair, every single elected precinct officer in our party will have my phone number and accessibility. And that is what will help achieve 100% precinct organization. Because precincts are the basic building block of our party, and it is time to get back to the basics. I want no precinct, no county, and especially no candidate behind. I'm ready to build blue for 2,300 precincts, 100 counties, 170 House and Senate seats, and it is not rocket science. 2,300 precincts, 2,300 plus precincts in 23 months means I need to get the ball rolling for 100 precincts a month. Why is this so important? My precinct had 96% Democratic turnout in 2020 because I walked the turfs. It isn't magic, it is hard work, and I did the work. If you elect me, I will, with the help of the fantastic volunteers like yourself, without whose time and dedication we cannot keep the engines of this party going, we will build an unstoppable ground game. If you think it is time for our party to actually win statewide races, then it is time for operational change. You deserve a visionary leader who can turn out the vote, bring in dollars, get Democrats a seat at the table. And you need Eva Lee if you want to leave no voter behind. Thank you.
Levon Barnes is our last, but certainly not least candidate from Durham County. Levon?
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at right now. Like David said, my name is Levon Barnes. The only correction I'm gonna have is I'm an Alamance County resident now. I'm a Durham County resident. So, in Alamance man's county. I see Ricky back there. We're gonna flip out on this county. I'm a SEC member, or now former SEC member of Durham County. I've been precinct chair in precinct 54, which is South Point. It's our third largest precinct that we have. Been a state progressive caucus second chair, founder of the progressive caucus in Durham County. This is not what I do. I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I teach the future Democrats here in this state. And I believe that we have lost focus. I'm about people. My focus is on people like Maria, Taylor, Zori, and Chris. First time voters this year. First time voters this year because they had people who inspired them to say, hey, the only way I can see change is I have to participate in change. This is about Brenda Powell and Senator Hall, Secretary Hall, and Senator McKissick, and Sheila, and Jonah, who poured into me. I didn't go to school for it, but I am a lifelong learner. And I always want to get advice, mentorship with those who have set the precedent for us. Now being able to take it to the next generation and to the next level. I stand on those shoulders. And I finally do it for my 7th-month-old daughter, Harper. I'm the first time dad. I guess they call me a geriatric parent, so 40. But she's my new reason. It's unfortunate that where we are headed in this state and in this country, for that matter, she's going to have less rights over her body, education, amongst other things than her mom and her grandmother. That's scary. That's scary. So we need people who are going to lead this party who believe in people, in the ground game, in organizing, and that just because you live in this county don't make you no better than the person who lives in that county. Every county matters because we have Democrats in every county that are doing great work, that are volunteering just like we all are, that care about this state. This state gave me my education. I'm from New York City, born and raised. My New York number is New York. And always remain. But my higher education came from this state. I came back to this state to teach the next generation, and I'm raising a North Carolinian little girl who's going to be hopefully the next leader of this state too. And so by trade, I coach. And that's what we need now. I coach, and I mentor, and I lead. We need coaching, we need organizing, we need inspiration. That is what we need in the party. You want to know why we're losing? Because people are not inspired right now to go vote. You know why we're not winning this part, winning in the state? Because we have folks who are tired of carrying the labor and they feel like they're going unheard. We have folks in the state right now who are thinking about going unaffiliated because their voice has been going unheard for quite some time. That has to change. That has to stop. And so I'm asking you for your vote. I want to get to the questions. My name is LeVon Barnes, and I'm running to be your next state chair. I do not do this because I just want to run. I do it because I feel in my heart that I have the vision and the passion, and I can help build a team to make us successful and get us to where we want to be. Thank you.
With the Democrats, and that's just what they do. But you'll see up on that screen the categories for discussion. And of course, we are running late, 1:22. But we're going to go through each one of these, or at least try to. These questions that are on the screen, I know it's hard for you to see. Don't worry, we're going to be talking about it. These questions have been put into the different categories. And we're going to start with Bobby Richardson and then go in the same order that we went in before. Bobby, you can choose any one of those questions that you want to answer. And because we're short on time, try to take just a minute. Bobby?
Speak directly into microphones, please.
Speak directly into the microphone again. It's like Jimmy Irvin, who was our Elvis Presley stand-in today. Lift that mic straight up, Bobby, and talk right into it.
This is very interesting. all of those are very important questions, and to have to narrow it down to speak to one is kind of difficult because each and every one on there has an extreme value for how effective getting out the vote will be and how effective our election returns will be. What will be the measurable goal of your plan to identify and identify and increase turnout in Democratic communities across the state? Our measurable goal is that in 2020, we developed a strategic plan. And in that strategic plan, we had measurable goals as to how many volunteers that we would need to carry this plan out. We also had a number of how many regional organizers and organizing directors that we would need to carry this plan out, and how much we would have to share information and literature and work with the county chairs, the auxiliaries, and all of our constituent groups to make sure that we were getting our message out to everyone, and also making sure that we were communicating the values of the North Carolina Democratic Party. We are looking at our strategic plan. It was written for 5 years. We found some strengths in that strategic plan, but we also know that there are some things that need to be revisited and made stronger. For example, we did not get the number of regional directors and organizers that we had targeted because the money was not there for us to do it this year. We also had a situation where our regional headquarters regional organizers had to take over the coordinated organizing effort because of a situation there that did not work effectively as we had hoped it would work. So we moved our headquarters regional operators over to the coordinated campaign, and they did an outstanding job starting late. And that's why some of our counties were disappointed because we got started late. But when we hire people, they interview well, they say all the right things, but when you put them to work, you realize that they do not have the understanding or the process or the skills to carry out the job in which they were targeted to carry out. So they threw us back, and we did have some very well organized leaders that stepped up and got us back on track and increased our turnout.
Bobby, thank you very much for that answer.
Right.
We're gonna move to Eric now to give the next answer and response. Eric, pick a question and tell us what it is. I know some of y'all can't see this, and I apologize for that, but we've got to have these lights on in the front in order for people online to be able to see the candidates. So I apologize for that. Yes, if you would read out the question that you're going to answer, that's a good point, Tom. Tom Rockwell from the Single Democrats. Eric, read out the question you want and answer. Go.
Should canvassing be year-round? Yes. Should it be different in rural areas from urban and suburban areas? Fundamentally, no. But clearly, if you have an apartment complex and you're going to go through 80 places, it's going to be a lot easier to do when you have, I don't know, 2 to 10 acres between locations, right? That makes it a lot harder. I was just down in Georgia canvassing about a month and a half ago for Senator Warnock, and I had those kinds of disparities. One day my turf cup was an apartment complex. Great, I knocked it out in 2 hours. The next day, they gave me a more rural area where I actually had to drive and strategically place my truck in the different spots to make little loops. And of course, my foot count that day went over double on my steps. So that was a bit of a grind. But the messaging is very similar, right? And so is the things that you're going to talk about, because we're talking about going out to people. And the reason why I'm going to go back to yes, as to why we need to canvass year round, is because that goes back to generating some of the enthusiasm. Just like you've heard so many folks here say so far, we need to generate enthusiasm. The best, most efficient and effective way to do that is in person. That's why we're here together right now, because we all know that when we get to talk to each other, you're going to get a different vibe. Like, can I trust this person? Is this person going to look me in the eye? Will this person try to fleece me? We can all kind of get a sense for that in person. And that's why canvassing year round must be done. That's how we're going to get an increased volunteer base. What does that also mean? That means, from my standpoint, higher headquarters' job is to support the people at the very bottom level. That means all the way down to the precincts. When we say grassroots, that's where it happens. That's where the rubber meets the road. And I'll give you a story to tell you about this example. Several years ago, I joined up.
Eric, I hate to cut you off.
I'm at 3 minutes.
But save that story. You know, you're supposed to take 1 minute, and then I expanded it out to 2 minutes. That's sort of my prerogative. Eva, it's 2 minutes. Now, I'm gonna ask Deborah, if you would turn the lights off at the front while she picks her question. People can't see the screen, and I'm told that people online can't see it either. So turn off the other one too. Okay, Eva, if you would, read out the question that you are going to answer and then answer it.
Let's set the mood. Ladies and gentlemen, we've all walked turf or two in our time. Here's the deal. 2,300 plus precincts, 23 months, 100 counties. All we have to do is collaborate. I'm not saying violate federal law and be coordinated. All I'm saying is we have to pool our resources. The two strongest counties in our state. Wait, okay, I'll read the question. The question is, how do you get it done? Okay, this is how you get it done. You take Wake and Met with their 400 plus highly technologically powered counties and dense activists. We have maybe 10,000 activists in Wake County. There are counties in North Carolina that have 15 activists. There is just no reason that we can't pool our resources and adopt a sister district. The measurable goals are simple. The win number is 50% plus 1. We need to turn out enough voters in our dense counties, and we need to care about 100% of 100 counties if we're going to win statewide races. It's not rocket science. It's just simply not rocket science. They are going to redraw our districts because they can. They are going to win cases in the Supreme Court now because they can. And the only thing we can do is pull ourselves together and beat them like kicking donkeys. I mean, we have to be the donkeys and we have to kick it. We have to make it happen. There's no other way. So for me, I don't really believe that the coordinated campaign as it is described or as it is traditionally, it's just not working. I want a totally different thing where you take a spreadsheet, you put in the counties, you put down how many activists they have, you calculate the number of missing organized precincts, you organize those precincts. It is mathematical. I'm not a vote builder queen. I have friends who are. I don't need to be a vote builder queen to understand. Hi, I'm Eva Lee. I'm a volunteer for the Democratic Party. Do you know who your precinct chair is, sir? May I give you the name of your precinct chair and welcome you to a meeting in your county?
Eva,
Period.
thank you so much for that answer. Well, this is a discipline check. You have 2 minutes.
I'm a teacher. No. I think what Eva said, listen, let's be honest here. I've done many forums as a candidate. We're all on the same team. We're all going to pretty much have the same answers for a lot of questions. To me, it's about execution. So I'm going to just answer number 3 again. Should canvassing be year-round? Should it be different in rural areas from urban or suburban areas? If we're not canvassing today, we already behind the 8 ball. So if you're in a county, you have a county chair that has not organized canvassing today, or tomorrow, or next weekend, then we're already behind. I'm gonna tell you right now, the reason why the right is doing what they gotta do, because they've been knocking on doors since the last election. So, you know, it does, like you said, it does not take rocket science to know what we have to do. It's just about going and doing it. We've had too many smart people in here that have very good ideas and opinions. In each of these rural counties and suburban counties, they have very good smart people that know their county. How much have we leaned on them rather than always coming from the top? Okay, to me, that's like again, I hate to just keep saying it, but that trickle down thing, I don't understand, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's literally, and I don't even want to use the bottom up. Grassroots up, the people who live in those counties, the people who live in those cities, they know their county the best, they know their city the best. They need to tell us at the top what they need, and we need to just provide. Period. The other aspect of it is, yes, we need to partner together. Durham, I love Durham, but Durham is a unicorn. Durham is a unicorn. Durham can help Earth. Durham can go help Alamance, and we do. In fact, the great thing about Durham is they have a data busting team. They have all these different teams of dedicated Democrats that do great work. I guarantee you not every county has that. But if Durham can share that information to other counties, then maybe we can start looking at the numbers a little bit different. So yes, I believe that we need to be canvassing today. Yes, we should have different ideas for rural areas and urban areas and suburban areas. And at the top, we need to then coordinate that with them. But that's where we need to be. That's where we need to be headed as a party direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Levon. Anderson Clayton, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I agree. I agree. And next time we'll have a better moderator. I take full responsibility of that. Anderson, you've been waiting patiently. Anderson, please give us 2 minutes. No more, no less. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm the timer. I do have a phone. Madam DNC member, I would love for you to be the timer. Edie Adams, member of the Democratic National Committee, will be our timer henceforth. You're not Anderson. Read your question.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go with question 4, should the party recruit candidates for every election? We left 44 uncontested seats this cycle, and that number 4 has everything to do with every other question on this sheet right here to me. When we contest and we have good candidates running in every race, you will have people that want to turn out to vote because they know the person in their community that's running. That person is in there getting those people out to vote and is encouraging that local base, those reverse coattails, as we like to say, right? You know, the aspect of winning the General Assembly in 2030 to me relies on whether or not we get good candidates recruited to these districts to be able to speak on behalf of their districts, right? You know, the measurable goals. By this summer, we should have a person for every seat in the state house and state senate. It needed to be, right? Because Republicans are doing it now. We need early cash on hand money in order to invest in those districts, make sure that the races that we know that are like competitive, that we know we need to be in. We're sitting in one right now in 2024 that I'm looking at, Ricky Hurtado in the back. I'm just like, we've got to make sure that we are supporting these candidates, that we are recruiting good people to run these positions, and that affects every single thing on here. Canvassing year round. If you've got a strategic person and somebody that, you know, is a Joe DeMarson or somebody that ran for state house, right? It's going to get people out of the doors early, but they understand the priority of that. We've got to have people that are working in this party consistently to do that work, right? And that means that we need to recruit candidates to run for every race. We did not do that this year. Like I said earlier, we left the most seats uncontested in the North Carolina State Senate in modern history. That's important here, people. People felt left out across our state because of that. We need to recruit good candidates, not just putting a candidate on the ballot, putting the candidate on the ballot from here on out. Thank you.
Edie, how we do?
She took a minute 40 seconds, but I will not start the timer until you read your question.
Okay, thank you.
And Edie, I'm gonna hand you a piece of paper that Sarah Parker Pittman, my daughter, who's been helping with this. Give you that 1 minute and then 30 seconds. And candidates, when you see that, then you know that that times are running. I want to, while we're doing this, Kim Knapp has been helping out with the online work. Lights a bit. Tim, the sound guy, has been helping with the mics, and we just really appreciate it. And my wife, who was standing in the back, has been the most helpful of all because she tolerates me doing these things. Thanks to all of you. You know the drill. The next person to be first up is Eric. So Eric, pick a, Deborah, if you toggle the lights. Eric, pick a question and read it out, answer it. Deborah will toggle the lights back on, and then we'll take off. So you start if you're willing.
What will be my approach for raising money from both large donors and from grassroots donors? The very first thing I'm going to do is find folks who are good at doing both. Leverage their network, leverage their connections. One of the things that I will readily admit to you is that I have been starting to get involved in North Carolina politics for 2 years, which means I don't know a lot. My network is not very deep. And therefore, what I need to do best is leverage those who do. And by the way, that's kind of what I'm good at, right? And I'll give you an example. Someone had asked about my military background and how does that convey to being the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. I'm an infantry officer by trade, which means I was trained originally to shoot stuff and break things, and then lead people to do that and organize them to do that. What I don't know how to do is I don't know how to fly an aircraft. I don't know how to refuel a tank. I don't even know how to order an oil filter for a Humvee. But what I am good at is managing all of that stuff. So for example, I was put in charge of an exercise with 4,300 Marines and sailors, men and women, out in the middle of the desert for a month. We had hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment, none of which I really know how to operate, or not very well, right? But they put me in charge and I ran it. One day I'm going to the bar and I see a Marine sitting in the dirt who looks absolutely dejected. So I sit down in front of him and start asking him questions. After about an hour and a half, I come to find out that I needed to put him on suicide watch. So I handed him off to my senior enlisted. And then what happened from there is that we took his weapon away, he was assigned a buddy, and we sent him to a psychologist. The reason I tell you this story is because leadership matters. Leadership that listens matters. Leadership that pays attention matters. Those of you not familiar with the Marines, it is extremely rare for a colonel to sit down in the dirt with a lance corporal. Your average lance corporal after a 4-year enlistment may not even see a colonel. Thank you, ma'am. Eva?
I so appreciate the visual cues. I truly do. I'm going to read bits of question number 4 because we need the entire 2 minutes to read the whole question. Let's see. How would you utilize number 4? How would you utilize the North Carolina Democratic Party finance committees? Under 8.05 state finance prepares annual budget, 14 members, and 4.03 3 sustained fund co-chairs, 8.03 fund committee fundraising plan goals to raise funds necessary for voter turnout within the congressional districts. So one of the hats that I wear is as a forensic tax attorney with a master's of law in taxation. And I like reading federal election committee reports, state election committee reports, and over the last couple of years, I have read most of the district's finance reports. So I know how to read a finance report. Right here, to turn out within the congressional districts. I mean, yes, you have to raise the money. Okay, you need excitement to raise money. You need engagement to raise money, and you have to know what you're raising it for, what you're doing with it. I don't personally feel that the party utilizes its capacity to support federal candidates. Plain and simple, it has to change. Plain and simple. 170 seats. I know there's thoroughbred races, but ladies and gentlemen, there are 170 seats, and no one of you is better or worse than anyone else, no matter where you live. Look at the map over there. Leave no voter behind, leave no district behind, leave no precinct behind. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we may not have 2 billionaires rolling through North Carolina. Maybe we will for 2024. We have to raise money based on our performance. Okay, I've been disappointed when They pull up the treasury report and they don't really tell us where the money goes. I've heard things, I can't verify them, $80,000 spent on consultants after 2020 to try and do morbidity and mortality and make people happy after 2020. So that was $80,000 maybe, I don't know the real number. Why don't we even know those numbers? So ladies and gentlemen, if you want transparency and financial literacy within the party so we can educate voters and we can get more people like Dee Adams. Dee Adams knows how hard I worked to help congressional candidates in the last couple of cycles. Thank you.
Thank you. Yvonne?
I know Ms. Adams is gonna check. I know you're gonna check. We need that right here. We need checks. Which we talk about money, we do the checks. I'm gonna do, I feel like question number 2. Excuse me, question number 3. What would be your goal for raising money for both large donors and grassroots donors? I think the candidates have said a lot of what I'm gonna say. In order for us to raise money, we gotta have exciting people to run the races. In order for us to raise money, people gotta feel like their dollars are actually going towards where they say it's going. In order for us to raise money from both large donors and grassroots donors, they want to attach themselves to winners. In order to raise money from large, I don't know what happened to it. I'll let the question switch. In order for us to raise money from large donors and grassroots donors, they have to know you. And I think that's critically important. If they don't know the candidate, if they don't know your chair, if they don't know your precinct chair, if they don't know your county chair, why am I going to drop dollars? If they don't know the fact that most of our money from the county and also state comes from the PAMs that we have the sustaining funds from, that we have to rely on people who actually go to the PAM, that actually have to like drop X amount of dollars per precinct. I think that if they knew that, then I think we would have a better opportunity. The other thing I want to say is this: we have a lot of people who are above us and control a lot of the big money. And unfortunately, I ain't scared of not one of them jokers. And I ain't gonna be no pawn for none of them jokers. What we need is transparency, we need honesty, we need humility to know that, hey, this is the reason why we haven't won. And so, listen, it comes from all of you in this room. If everybody in here donated, and their network they donated, and their network donated, then we can build what we need to build. Thank you.
Jennifer, I'm told that it doesn't make any difference online what we do, so we'll just leave like Anderson.
Okay, cool. I'm also going to go with number 3. What would be your approach for raising money from both large donors and from grassroots donors? I don't think our party has an effective strategy right now for how to bring in small dollar donors into this party. I think that we need one, and we need to diversify the ways that we are bringing in money right now. For me, I worked on a United States Senate race. Amy McGrath raised $96 million in the state of Kentucky, right, against Mr. Connell. We need to bring or modernize fundraising methods into this state party, and that needs to be something that we do from across the country. Because I believe that North Carolina is a state that is sellable. We need to have a tour. We are going across the country, honestly, and having house parties in places where North Carolinian operatives are working right now because they're not back in North Carolina currently. We have folks and we have the connections at the national level. I have donors that I want to bring back to this party that have contacted me since I launched this campaign and been very excited to get involved and to see me doing this right now because they understand the need and the desire to have a state party that works. What Levon said is true. Donors want to know where their money's going. The ROI right now, we haven't seen it in the state of North Carolina. When you're giving money to the state party, you don't know where it goes at the end of the day. We do not have that transparency within our organization right now to show us that. And we need to. We need somebody that's going to provide us that clarity and let us know here are the areas we're going to prioritize and we're going to invest in, and we need to be honest about it. And we don't need to let people know that you're being deprioritized. We can say, here's what we know we can win right now. And that's the democratic message that we need. We need to be able to win. And we need to invest our money in places where we know it's smart, in candidates that we know that are going to actually do it and use it correctly, I think, and making sure that we have a plan that works for everybody, especially for our counties and districts and everybody else from the bottom up. That's what I want to do this party. Thank you.
Bobby?
Thank you. As your county chair, as your state chair, excuse me, I have worked at the Department of Organization for 4 years, and I have been engaged in fundraising. And there are different buckets of fundraising. There are the DSCCC fundraisers, there are the congressional contributors, there are fundraisers from PAC, there are fundraisers from small group donors, there are fundraisers from mid-group donors, and everybody is raising money at the same time. One of the things as a state party chair is that you must have relationships with people from whom you are asking for money. They must know who you are. They must know what you're going to spend the money on. And the thing that we need to understand is that money is targeted for certain activities. For example, the year-round organizers was a funder's dream. And he came to North Carolina and said, if you start a year-round funding organizing program, we will fund you. People get upset when we have money in the treasury because we cannot spend that money in any category or any way that we choose to. When we get targeted money, that money has to be spent on that particular item. We also have had an issue with even our SEC members in North Carolina do not fund their own party. We had 118 people to fund our efforts for 2022 out of 500 people. We are also eagerly coming up with all kinds of activities. We have done the block party, we have done the bricks, and we are going to individual donors. I have called donors and they said, I just dropped $50 million with the government. Can you give me 2,000? So everybody is raising money and we are there, and I have a relationship with PNC and ASDC who has brought some money into North Carolina that we would have normally not gotten. Thank you.
Next area of questioning is messaging, and we're going to need to be quick. Edie, thank you again for keeping time. Bring some discipline. Even if you would pick one of these questions, read it out and answer it, and you've got 2 minutes.
Obviously, the question for me is question number 4. What is the core Democratic Party message, and how do we communicate our message to motivate and persuade voters? This is all I talk about all the time. Imagine, if you will, waking up every single day, and instead of having to hear what Fox News daily talking points are, you wake up to, these are our talking points of the day. A simple sentence, a hashtag, a tweetable moment, a Facebook post. And all of us from our 22 caucuses with hundreds of chapters, our 14, maybe like 25 US House candidates, whoever's getting on the party bus to run for anything, anywhere, and they are dialed in to a coherent, consistent, palatable message, not reactive rhetoric. I am so sick of reactive rhetoric. I am telling you that I think it was last year, I was so delighted with Governor Cooper in his little brief 1-minute message to the North Carolina Senior Democrat Convention used the hashtag that I had picked. It was like, seniors go blue 22. And Governor Cooper said it in a little video. It's little quips like that that motivate and inspire. What's Jeff Jackson going to say tomorrow? What is Josh Stein saying today? That's what we need to know. We need to be dialed into our hot, sexy candidates, our reason to extra, our what are we doing today? Which gala are we having? And it's just not that hard. It's not that hard. There was a lady doing Friday packages, weekly wrap. I'm just saying it wasn't moving me, but I will move you. That's all there is to it. We just have to build it and they will come. Like you know, make a hashtag.
Right. I'm gonna choose number 2. What is the role of messaging in motivating under 45 voters, voters of color to vote, and persuading boomers to vote Democratic? Well, I fit 2 of those categories. Under 45, I'm a person of color. How do you persuade me to vote? It can't be more than just coming to my door on election time. And we go vote. People who are under 45, it's a different dynamic now. We stand on the backs of the boomers. How come we not connecting boomers with the 45s and others to explain and understand? We need to be changing how we message through technology. But here's the great thing about it. I think it goes back to what you said. There is no better way to persuade somebody to vote than to actually go meet the voter, to actually meet them where they're at. It's more than just knocking on their door, but where do they work? Where is that big pocket at? Why are we not talking to the kids who were in school that are the first time voters? That's a whole pocket of voters that we have now lost because we almost forget that they exist. People of color are tired, sick and tired to being used for different type of messaging, and that's for both parties. Change the messaging. Your vote matters because you matter, and because the things that we're fighting for are the things that you need to provide your family and to help set off the next generation. You need to fire them up. We can't fire them up by sitting on the sidelines and just watch. We fire them up by going over there and talking to them. Pull somebody to the side, mentor, hey, come vote with me today. That's how we do it. And we leave on the backs of the folks who've been there. For somebody who's the boomer that's still knocking on doors, I'll give you all the credit and the respect. But how about we take somebody who's under 45 pictures? So when you get a little bit exhausted, they can go ahead and carry it the rest of the way. That is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, LeBron. Anderson?
I'm going to choose number 4 too. What is the core Democratic Party message and how do we communicate our message to motivate and persuade voters? I've talked to hundreds of people across the state in the last 3.5 weeks, and I think we are all questioning what the core message of the Democratic Party is. I know what it is. It's caring about people. That's why I call myself a Democrat this day, because this party values the people of this state and of this nation at the end of the day. And it's about showing that. And it's about talking about it, and it's about educating our own communities of what that really looks like. And right now in rural North Carolina, we have a message. The bipartisan infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan, is delivering money into our communities right now. The Democratic Party has said, rural areas, rural communities, we believe in your ability to live and exist 50 years from now. It's your job to go to your city council and your county commissions and ask them where your money's going. In rural red counties, we have a message right now. The Affordable Connectivity Program is $30 off of folks' internet bill a month, and that got here because of Democrats. Don't tell me we don't have something I'm knocking these doors with and canvas with right now. We do. Helping people access the programs and the resources that the Democratic Party at the national level is providing us right now. And we need to transition that and take that and provide that as local resources to counties and to districts. Every county and city across this state got $2 to $3 million each, more than that, depending on what their county size is in this state. And people need to know that. Our Democrats need to know that, right? You need to know about the policies and the programs and things that Democrats are doing and how to educate and talk to your folks about that, because that's what's going to win us back seats. Having people that actually care in this party and showing that. The Democratic Party never left rural North Carolina. We stopped messaging to it and we stopped talking to it. We never stopped caring about people. And we need to say it. Thank you.
I think I'm going to follow up with the same question that was just asked, because all of the things that were just said, we did communicate those things to every county in the state. We had press release in rural North Carolina. We had press release in urban North Carolina. We had press release in Charlotte and Durham and all the surrounding counties. And each time that we went out, we said, the Democrats finally have a message. Let's tell our story. Because for so many years, we had not been able to celebrate anything from the Democratic Party. We sent out these emails and I would get people calling me and saying, we don't get any messages from you. We haven't heard from you. And then when I talked to the party chair, they would say something to the effect, well, I didn't know I was supposed to send it out to everybody. I thought it was just for me. So we have sent that message to you time and time again. We have come out and talked to you about these appropriations that the president has made, and we have given you talking points. We have had training on them, and it is a difficult thing to do because funding is really hard, and some people don't have internet. But we have put the message out there, and we have asked you to share those messages. And we will continue to talk about the things that have happened. Deborah Ross had a television broadcast the other day and talked about all the millions of dollars that she has brought into Raleigh, North Carolina. The message is there. We got to learn to share it with everybody that's on the SEC and also with our families and with people that we see on the street, because everyone was lifted up from the pandemic, resolved all the way down to the fact that we do have infrastructure that is going to lift up our communities, and we are getting broadband in our urban, in our rural areas. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to read a different question, and I'll explain to you why. What is the proper balance of the NCDP and the candidates in persuading and motivating voters with the Democratic message? Part of the reason why I picked a completely different question is because LeVon pointed out, if you get 5 Democratic candidates up here, a lot of us are going to kind of say the same thing, and then how do you differentiate between that? So I'm going to give you something different. Go back to what Jonah said. If you want a different result, do something different. I'm something different. So let's talk about this. NCDP messaging and candidates. How is that going to work? So part of it is going to be symbiotic, right? Our job as the party is to get people enthused and help get out the vote. We didn't do that, not as well as we should have. So let's keep going. Keep doing more of what we were successful at and expand upon that. Then the candidates, we need to leverage them as well. Everybody's got a different level of charisma. There's oodles of charisma all throughout this room, which I really enjoyed listening to and hearing from. We need to leverage that and capitalize on that kind of charisma. And the person who took the cake, at least for me, watching this last election cycle, I saw Jeff Jackson post on Facebook, hey, y'all, I'm gonna go out for a beer. 500 people showed up, right? Yeah, that's the kind of enthusiasm we need to generate. If you want to get out the vote, get people like that out in public, help bring your friends, people you know, and drive those folks together. That's what's going to do it. Then some of those candidates, we need them to go after some of the right-leaning folks and try to persuade some of those folks over. Some folks are going to be more effective at it than others, but a lot of that's going to be about how we do our messaging. And if we can do this together, we will be stronger together and we can win together. Thank you.
Area is members and mechanics, and I believe LeVon, do you choose the question? Read it out. Give us your answer.
All righty. This is the last section, right? Okay.
Yes, you raise a good point. Once we do this, we're going to take about 10 minutes to go over write-down questions that you have on the papers that are in front of you and pass them forward. Obviously, we won't get to all of them, but we'll pick maybe 3 or 4 of them and go on time permitting. I don't know how much energy you all have, but this has energized me. So, LeVon?
All right. I'm going to choose number 1. So this is a little bit long. How would you describe your leadership style? What do you consider the top 3 responsibilities of being chair? what experience in your professional political life will help you be an effective NCDP chair? And I appreciate the question. My leadership style is simple. It's collaborative. Very much collaborative. We have a saying in basketball. This is the target of the state. I'm a Duke fan, but don't hold it. Oh, Lord. We have a saying in basketball. Good teams are coach-led. Great teams are player-led. We are all players on this team. The only way that the chair, who's the voice, can be great or look great is if the team looks great. And I believe in that. So what are my 3 responsibilities? One is complete transparency. I am not the type of person to run away from the hard questions. I'm the type of person to listen to dissenting opinion, collaborate together, and formulate an opinion. Then, 2, my job is to help build up a great team. The executive team has to be great. If the executive team has our own different opinions, it's not going to work. They have to buy into the vision of the executive group, which is would be in charge of that. And the last thing is bringing energy to the base. That's my job, is to be the spokesperson. Right now, you got somebody who's a lieutenant governor, ridiculous that he could possibly even think about being in the top spot. And what the difference is, and I've said this about Democrats and Republicans, sometimes Republicans will say what they want to say and not care about your feelings, and we sometimes as Democrats are too sensitive about what we are going to say. So in order for us to fight the right, you gotta step up to the plate, and you gotta have a spokesperson who ain't afraid to get into the fight. And I'm ready to 2 feet in on that. And my experience as a teacher, I teach all kids, students from all walks of life, gay, straight, black, white, brown. It does not make it. I'm sorry. I didn't see the 1 minute. I apologize.
I was just getting inspired and you got started. Rules are rules. I didn't see it. I apologize. Anderson, good luck.
I am going to answer your question. I am going to go with how we recruited and work for the next year on an executive director, because I believe that is the priority, honestly, of the person that is the next state party chair is to appoint the executive director and to work with that person to hopefully have a national search for that person. We need to bring national experience to the state of North Carolina, preferably from someone that is from the state originally, but I'm hoping that we can find someone, and I know that we can, with the experiences and the tools and the resources and the connections nationwide that we need really in that position. I think that the executive director is a role that everyone in this party should be able to look at and say, I agree, I had a hand in selecting that, my voice was counted in that process. Because right now we have not had that so far, and that's something that this party desperately needs. I think accountability and transparency, to be honest with you all, that's something that we've lacked for a minute. And so I really want to be able to work with this person to bring a grassroots organizing strategy, a year-round approach to this program and to the state, because that's what we desperately need right now. And we need an executive director that is going to value organized labor in this state. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, David. How would you describe your leadership style? What do you consider the top 3 priorities of being a chair? What experience in your professional or political life will help you be an effective NCDP chair, or will help you be an effective NCDP's chair? I think our leadership style in this arena is a democratic style. It's a style where you listen to people, you take in their point of views, and then you make decisions based on that. And you include every or a democratic process, body, and therefore we need to practice the democratic process. The responsibility of the Democratic chair is to hire an executive director. That is the primary responsibility. That person has to be one who communicates well, who can organize well, who can manage people well, who knows budgets, who knows how to keep us out of trouble with the FEC and the Board of Elections, and also is one that can communicate between the different branches of our leadership team. We also are involved with the delegates from each level, our Senate level and our congressional level. We bring them in to hear what's going on in Raleigh. The second most important thing is to raise money. We cannot run this operation without funds. Therefore, I must spend 3 to 4 hours, and that will be increased this year on the phone, calling people, making sure that we have the funds to make sure that we can fund the activities that we need to be a successful team. The third part of being a Democratic chair is to make sure that you have a leadership team and you bring your leadership team in and you discuss the issues from all aspects of life. There are 4 vice chairs to the leadership team: first vice, second vice, third vice, fourth vice, secretary, and a treasurer. And we all need to come together and be unified on the strategy and everything that we come before the group before we make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. Eric? Let me, for those of y'all that are bringing questions up, thank you. We are going to have Leslie Carey. Leslie, where are you? Leslie's right here. She's the chairman of the 11th district. She's going to be collecting those. If you want to bring them to her, raise your hand again. That will be fine, but please wait until after the candidates have finished their questions. But thanks. Eric, you're up.
Thanks, David. And my favorite part about answering this question is I get to absolutely ensure that David is not a liar. Because
Thank you.
by describing my leadership style, that leads me to the story that he promised you that I would tell you later. That's where we're at now. I had just joined a brand new unit. I was a deputy operations and plans officer. I was a lieutenant colonel. We were in charge of 11 other units. That means in charge of those units were 11 other lieutenant colonels. And for about 70% of the folks, we all pretty much got along. It was collegiate, amicable, etc. But senior military officers are also type A personality and cutthroat competitive against each other. And so a few of these folks were a pain in my rear right off the bat. Right? First couple of phone calls, very contentious, getting up in my face. Mexican on the phone. But with one of the guys, I said, stop. Here's what you need to know about me and how I see my role. I'm at your higher headquarters, yes. But you are a command selected inspector instructor, which means that when you have a problem, you call me, I drop everything that I'm doing, and I resolve your problem. That's the kind of circular communication and leadership that I think we need here in our party. Listen to what's going on, make an assessment, and then provide a solution aggressively. That's what I did. And after I gave him that kind of little tidbit of my philosophy as his higher headquarters, he kind of gave a pregnant pause. And then he said, well, if that's your attitude, this will be great. The next thing I know, he invited me up to Chicago, and we actually spent 16 hours, 2 full work days for him walking me through his program at his command. So I completely changed that relationship around. But with that kind of leadership here in the North Carolina Democratic Party, I think that's the kind of synergy that we can create across the board to get some unity across the party. Thank you.
I have torn between questions 4 and 5. I think they're intertwined. I'll pick number 4. Everyone in this room, I would say raise your hand, but I'll trust you. I am an active dues paying member of at least 2 caucuses. Okay? I believe that the 20+ caucuses in the state of North Carolina that represent such people as LGBTQ, African American caucus, which I'm a member of, the new formation Jewish caucus. During COVID, I don't know where Tom went, but during COVID, when I was volunteering for Tom and Matilda, I helped rebuild 4, maybe 5 chapters. I personally phone banked the entire Alliance chapter to get them where they could elect the president in time to come to an executive committee meeting where they could present to the delegates, to present to Bobby, to have delegates on the congressional district committees, and I've been working for years, literally 3 or 4 years now, trying to just get representation of the caucuses on the congressional district committees, because we need intersectionality. We need something that crosses county lines and district lines. You know, the senior Dems of North Carolina, at one point when I came on board, had maybe 30 chapters. It goes down and it goes up, right? Can you tell them? So the point is, building caucuses became my passion there for a minute, and I helped set up a pathway to put a Zoom link, and then anybody from anywhere in the state could, if we get 5 people in one county, could form a chapter. And it is the same as forming a precinct. You need 5 human beings with a passion, whether it's in a precinct, or it's in a county, or it's membership in a caucus. And so again, I went up to one particular county chair a couple of years ago, and I said, "Hi, I'm Eva Lee from the Senior Dems. Would you like to have a Senior Dems caucus?" And the answer was, "No, we're good." And so the point of that is that the county chairs need to understand that the caucuses are intersectional, and that we need that passion and we need that representation, and the caucuses would get representation on the plan of review if they were represented. So that's what we need to accomplish as we build a new Democratic Party.
You went first.
I mean, I can get my last 30 seconds.
Okay, good. Okay, folks, we're going to take a break for about 5 minutes because we are running late. It's 2:15. And if you have not gotten questions in to Leslie, or you can bring them up here to Sarah, either one. We're going to sort them out. Please stick with these categories that are up here. Take 5 minutes. Please come back.
So we're all good.
Also, you can start finding your way back to your seat, we're gonna start up in just a moment. And it's those handles. Folks, if you can find your seats, we're going to start in 1 minute. We will continue to take the time. Candidates, come up to the front if you like. Finally, the front candidate, please. Folks, time your seats. Sorry about that whistle. I keep it in that pocket for emergencies. It's a dad whistle, yeah. Maybe a granddad whistle. That's right. Sarah says it works like a charm. We have gotten a lot of really strong questions from y'all, and not terribly surprisingly, they have fit into a couple categories. We had 13 individual questions about membership and logistics inside the party, 11 about field organizing, 8 about messaging, and 5 about money. And so we're going to do the same drill. Let's see, who was up next? It was, who chose the last question? You were the last one. So who's after you? Start at the top. Okay. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to read this question, and we're going to figure out when we're getting out of here. We're going to get out of here in 15 minutes. Okay, we got 3 questions, and what that means is we got 1 minute each. So you're going to get a 30-second sign from Dee, and then you're out. You're going to get it closed, but it's going to be a swoop. Anderson, here's the first question. I know that this has been addressed by each one of you, and these folks don't know what the question is going to be. But here's the question. What is your vision and plan, all for specifics here, for increasing voter engagement and turnout, and what role does canvassing play in that plan? You got 1 minute. You got it.
I think it plays an extreme role in that plan and being able to get out our voters. We have to talk to people face to face. We need to be on the doors in all of our communities and ensuring that people hear the Democratic message. I also believe that turns into voter registration. We need to register 175,000 new people to register to vote, new Democrats, honestly, in this state in the next 2 years to be able to do our jobs effectively and to get Democrats elected statewide. And so in order for us to do that, we have to have communities and counties that are constantly in their neighborhoods, knocking on those doors and ensuring that they have the right tools and opportunities to be able to do that. That also responds to high traffic canvassing, which is something this party doesn't do a ton of, but it's something we need to start doing. We also need to start really prioritizing deep canvassing, especially in our rural areas, and teaching our communities on how to do that too. So I fully believe in organizing and canvassing and making sure that is a year-round model in our state. Thanks, y'all.
1 minute. The question is, what's your specific vision and plan for increasing voter engagement, and to what extent is canvassing a part of that?
My plan to increase
Microphone.
My plan to increase voter turnout is continue with the year-round organizing, and also to make sure that we are making all kinds of connections, not only the knocking on the doors, but we're also using text, and we're also using media. We're also doing letter writing and everything that works with contacting people, because we still have some people who don't like to be out in person. And canvassing is very important. We need to know who our voters are, because each person that goes out on canvass has a device that they can enter that person's name into, and then we capture that person, and then we know to follow up with that person because they said that they will be a voter. So we need to make sure that we use all of our tools for communicating with the voters. We need to get out and knock on the doors as much as possible. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric? Your vision and plan for increasing voter engagement and canvass.
So I actually think that canvassing is absolutely critical and is the baseline for communicating with the voters. That being said, what we need is a multimedia approach. We have to expand all different means that we can. That is getting on the phone, that's postcards, that's knocking on doors, that's meet and greets, that's town halls. A lot of folks, when you talk to them, they believe that some of these methods are mutually exclusive. Like as soon as you say social media, people think, well, that means no canvassing. I'm like, no, it means both. We need to do it all because different audiences are going to be listening to different messages. Some people don't answer the phones. Some people appreciate a written postcard. Some people are on Facebook or on TikTok or on Twitter or what have you, on these social media sites. and they are exclusively in those realms. And that's why we have to do a multicast of different media. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Eva? Canvassing is a part of increasing voter engagement. How do we do it?
My plan and my vision is essentially a form of reverse engineering. Election day, November 2024, work backwards, 23 months. You are all here because you got an invitation, you knew the date and time. What I did in 2018 when Linda Coleman was running is I set an anchor at Happy Endings Pub, and I said, I'm gonna be at Happy Endings Pub every Sunday for 2 hours from 2 to 4. And for the first few times, it was just me and my neighbor and Nick. Eventually, people started showing up. Eventually, and I kid you not, when I became a swing left organizer and an indivisible organizer, 50 people showed up twice a day and came to the cul-de-sac where I had put out food, and they were canvassing 50 people twice a day. It was probably like 200 people. It was called Last Weekend. So you reverse engineer from election day. You have your 100 days out. You have your every Saturday and Sunday. It is not random. We all know what each other are doing. We have one Mobilize. I know how to use Mobilize and coordinate it. It's time to just do it the right way.
Thank you, Eva. Levon?
You had a great response. So my plan is simple. Goes back to what Anderson said. Voter registration, we do that all the time, but we don't ever follow up after we get people registered to vote. So we got to make sure we follow up. We need to focus on local organizing, especially diverse, not just in color, but also in the message. We're not a monolithic party. Everybody has different messages, and they can drive their base. Building a base, people want to help, but a lot of times do not know how to help. So we have to be in communication on trying to get people how to help, and that means bring them to a meeting, a county exec meeting or some type of meeting. But we need to make sure that our meetings are organized and that we have marching orders at each meeting, and not just meeting to meeting, and then having a detailed plan. I feel like that's how we get in and we turn out vote and get canvassing right.
The next question is, how would you foster a strong working relationship with the party's 2024 nominees? And Bobby, I believe you're up first with that.
Thank you for that question. We are starting now to build that relationship. We're hearing from people who are already identifying themselves as candidates for the 2024. So what we're doing, if they're running for Congress, we're connecting them to the DSCC. If they're running for Senate, we're already connecting them to the DSCC. And if they're running for the local, for the state, then we have the Senate caucus and the House caucus that we're dealing with, and Council of States. We are dealing with them, and we're setting up meetings with our judicial branches within the next week to talk to them. So we are ready to hear who those candidates are and to begin to point them in the direction that they need to go to, and to share with them who their key person is as far as funding is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric?
So first and foremost, what I want to point out is that what we are doing is a people business. That's what politics is. When it pertains to the party and the candidates, there needs to be a close personal touch. I would personally communicate as much as I can with the highest level candidates and then work my way down through the slate as far and deep as I could possibly go. I would want to get to know who these folks are. And in cases where I can't personally do it, I know that we have a structure in place. We've got county chairs, we've got district chairs. We have a first, second, and third vice chair. So there are several mechanisms that are in place where we can then divvy out the responsibilities of getting to know these campaigns, getting to know the candidates at a much closer and tighter level. That way we're not surprised when a skeleton comes out of the closet, for example. We need to do some of that research right on our own folks. That's a horrible gut. I know I had to bring it up. But it's important, right? Because we don't want to get punched in the gut in September, for example, or August. let's get ahead of it. And then that's how we're gonna do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, the question is, how would you foster a strong working relationship with the party's 2024 nominees? Eva?
So for instance, many people may know this, but for those of you that don't, for the last 5 or 6, maybe 7 years, I'm the person that sought out the candidates, helped them tune up their Facebook pages. I would call them as soon as I knew they were running. Back in 2018, I made a list of the 26 Democratic hopefuls for Congress, sought them out. Dee Dee's nodding her head. I had sought people out. There was the guy that Obama nominated. And I called him, I said, Obama not nominated, he endorsed. I said, sir, you don't have a Facebook page. Obama just endorsed you. How fast? I'll come over to your house and do a Facebook page right now. Okay, so building and fostering that relationship is something I have stood for years. I lift people up. I stood in a room in Caldwell County and I said, oh, there's 35 of you women here in Caldwell Women Rise. I said, you see this woman right here? If 35 of you would support her, she could run. She did run. I can build a pipeline. I believe in people. People know that I lift people up. People in this room who have been inspired by me to run.
Thank you, Eva. Devon?
Thank you for the question. It comes down to training and mentorship. I met Jonah Garson at training for candidates who were inspired in 2017 called the ring. I met a lot of people in this room based on training. I met Eva in the training. I met a lot of people. Mentorship is critical. We got too many folks out here who have so much information to give, but for whatever reason, we're not giving it to these candidates. We need to do check-ins, not only with the executive director and staff, but the chairs. Serious candidates are going to want serious information and serious training. Regional leaders that could be primary contacts. Regional leaders that could be primary contacts, especially in smaller towns. And we need to have honest conversation with those candidates. What do you stand on? Do you agree with what we're doing? How can we help you? This is where we feel like we're going wrong. None of this can help anybody if we're not having honest conversations. So it comes down to training and mentorship and check-ins with staff. Thank you.
First of all, I think to make sure that Josh Stein is to every county in North Carolina and works with that county party and weeks ahead of time in order to prepare for him getting there, right? We need to see our governor in every county across the state to make sure that our base is mobilized and energized to see that person there. And we need to be working with those county parties in order to take the folks that are coming out to those meet and greets, right? And giving them that email list and saying, here are volunteers that want to come out and knock those doors for you and get engaged. It means working down ballot with every single candidate, like Levon said, to make sure that they have training, right? To make sure that they have mentorship. I've talked to so many state or former candidates throughout the state that just said they had a lack of mentorship, a lack of training, a lack of knowing where resources are really coming from in this party. And I think that we're just not utilizing our people well enough, to be honest with all of you. I think there are former state party candidates, former statewide candidates, honestly, that would love to have the ability to come back and mentor candidates that are running this next cycle. And so I really want to be able to do that and provide that energy and hopefully also help those people feel good about their races. Thank you.
Last question is one that's kind of a sensitive question. And we've addressed it today because of the good vibe in this room. We want to keep that good vibe going. So here's the question. And Eric, you'll start us off. Politics can be negative. How, as the North Carolina Democratic Party Chair, will you remove the negativity and bring us together to continue to build the party for strength and growth? Eric?
So I've talked about my 30 years in the Marines, being a leader. And a lot of that is just like us, there's a lot of different personalities, and sometimes personalities can get in the way. In order to effectively lead an organization of a bunch of disparate individuals, we all have to get on the same sheet of music and acknowledge that we're on the same team. So a lot of times I found myself being a peacemaker. When there are two parties who are separate, find out what their issue is and then try to address it. I'll give you an example. I had a precinct chair who was proving difficult with some of my officers. Researched the plan of organization, realized what I could do as the county chair to remove that person. As I studied the problem some more, I came to find out in conversation with this woman that she was willing to be part of the solution. So the problems and the issues that she had, I co-opted her into the group. And she became an integral and very important part of the team. So that goes back to the building bridges part. And I think that's a key part of leadership. Thank you.
Well, as someone said earlier today, if you're not doing something, you won't get pushback. And I've certainly experienced pushback. Obviously, I ran 2 years ago and was honored to have lost to the first woman of color to lead the North Carolina Democratic Party ever. It was an honor to be in that race. And I made friends with Clayton, and now Clayton is on DC of the second congressional district. So the truth is, literally, it's as simple as a directory. And I would be happy to email anyone in this room the directory that I made, which listed at, it's not current anymore, but all the county party chairs had their pictures in it, had their Facebook pages, a visual organizer for our party. We just don't have a way to connect to each other. If you don't have access to Vote Builder, you can suck it. You just can't get data. I can't get data in Wake County. Our chair doesn't let people have data. I can't have data in my own precinct. I can't get turf cut, even if I beg, okay? So I have to work around it. I downloaded stuff from the State Board of Elections, but the truth is we need to know who we are so we can love on each other.
Thank you.
That was a lot right there. Can you repeat the question?
How do you accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In between?
I do that every day. It comes down to this. People want to feel they have a place at the table. People want to feel like they want to be heard. That's people. If they don't feel like they have a place at the table, and they don't feel like they want to be heard, this is where that petty infighting that we have amongst each other exists. So the first thing is, we got to kill the petty infighting that we have amongst each other in this room, in this party, period. There are some things that we're going to disagree about, and that's okay. That's what makes us unique. However, it distracts us from what the goal is. Republicans want a fractured Democratic Party. We need to be a united Democratic Party that has a broad space of different solutions to the same problem that we all know exists. So when we cut that out, we'll be better. We can be positive and know that, hey, I had a hand in electing somebody that's going to make a difference, not just for me, but the people who come in behind me and those whose shoulders we stand on. That's how we do it.
People in this party have felt the way they do because they haven't been heard or listened to. And in my opinion, that starts with doing exactly what I've done in the last 3.5 weeks, which is going around to counties, meeting with people in our party and hearing the concerns, hearing where they want to see this party go and the direction forward for it. And I really believe that means valuing everyone's voice in this party and caring about what they have to say. And when people feel that way, they will feel bought in. Whether or not we disagree, whether or not we misunderstand each other, people will know, I know that person is from a good place. We need to make sure that everybody has that understanding as a party that we are working together, but that folks at the top of this party are always going to care and hear and want to include and uplift the people on the ground, the folks that are actually doing the work every single day. Thank you all so much.
And Bobby.
Thank you. What we must realize is this is a big tent. And when you have a big tent, you have a lot of opinions, you have a lot of brain thoughts, and you have a lot of smart people. And what we have to do is when these negative comments come up, instead of pasting them out there on social media and getting 5 or 10 of your friends to reiterate the negativity that you feel about this party, why not call the person in charge and say, I have an issue with something that happened, rather than posting it on the whole world to see? Because we've had several incidents that have done that, and the leadership of the party was the last to know that these posts have been made. We are a big tent. We need to become a big family and care about each other, and also care about the privacy of this party when it comes to controversy within this party.
Bye.
Thank you. We're now going to let the candidates have 1 minute to give their closing. It's 3 o'clock. And I think 1 minute each, and then we've got a couple of announcements, and we're going to close it out. And Eva, you have the first closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eva Lee. E is for everyone, B is for victory, and A is for accessibility all the time. I want to reach out to everyone. I want to provide those calendar dates so we can anchor coherent, consistent times for people to do canvassing, to give you every single day, daily talking points, blue news, 24/7, 365. That banner right there, I made it into a state fair booth. I paid $1,000 for it. I took 11 days out of my life and stood at the state fair to make sure that we had something that would pop. It's time for the Democratic Party in North Carolina to pop and go past being a battleground. We need to be 10 points ahead in October of 2024. We need to be showing 10 points ahead. And the only way we get there is if we start working now. Thank you so much.
First of all, I want to thank everybody in the room. It matters. You matter. Thank you for hosting this. My name is LeVon Barnes. I'm an 18-year public school teacher. I care about my community. I care about your community. I care about the next generation and those whose souls we stand on. I want to just say this: leadership is hard. And regardless of anything, we have loyal Democrats at this table, and that needs to be recognized first. Right? There are a lot of flack sometimes because I'm very honest. They say, well, why would you run against somebody? It's not about the person. If I believe in the vision, if I believe in what we're doing, honestly, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't run. But if I feel like I can impact change and help change something, just a small thing, then I want to do that. And that's why I stepped into the table, and I would hope that I can get your votes, your confidence going forward. Thank you.
I was going to say, it has been an honor to run in this race. It has been such an honor to talk to so many Democrats across this state. And I tell folks all the time, no matter what happens in this race, I'm going to be fighting on behalf of rural North Carolina next year. I'm going to use every bit of the connections and the potential and the people that I have tapped into in this campaign to do that work across our state to make sure that rural North Carolina feels heard again in this party and to make sure it's got that voice. But I will just say, being a young person in this party right now, everybody has consistently asked me all the time, Anderson, where are the young people? We're standing up here right now before you. We want to take on the responsibility of this party, and we want the opportunity to bring young folks back into this party because they've been left out before, and they've been left out since. And we want to make sure that they can see themselves, that they see a young person in charge of this party and has the ability and the support of the Democratic Party to do this job effectively and with the support of everybody on the ground. We have an opportunity to show young people we believe in you, we want to value you, and we want to hear your voice. So let us have that. Thank you.
Thank you. I too would like to thank everyone who have been here. This has been an awesome experience, and we thank you for giving us that opportunity. There are 3 things that has happened in this last 4 years that has created my motivation for wanting to remain chair of the Democratic Party. The first one was the January 6th event, and then it was the road repeal, and then it was the fact that we are being gerrymandered to the point that we cannot select quality candidates. I also want to remind you that in the Democratic Party, the executive director has resigned. There needs to be some continuity in that party because we need someone who can hit the ground running and continue the programs and the leadership of the North Carolina Democratic Party because our executive director has resigned. Thank you.
So we need three things: leadership, organization, and good communication. Up here at the table, we got a lot of strong leaders. I really appreciate this slate, and thank you all for coming out here and meet all of us and spend some time with us. It's absolutely fantastic. On the organization piece and the leadership piece, clearly my 30-year career in the Marines culminating as me being a colonel with 8 combat tours, that's what we do. That we do at time immemorial. We constantly go into a unit, organize, tweak it, and make it better. On the communication piece, communication is a circle. You need to know what the messaging is from the top down, and from the bottom up, we need to know what you need. And that's that circle. That's the circle of communication. That is broken right now, and that's what we need to fix in order for us to be united and be able to work together. You've heard from several of the candidates put in different ways, but that's what I firmly believe. Leadership, organization, and communication. Thank you.
These candidates are already helping out. Matilda Phillips, where are you? You'll be back in the back. Chris Celeste. These two folks said back in November, let's get together and talk about some Democratic Party politics, and they came up with this idea of doing a forum, and it's been a marvel. The questions that y'all ask will all be typed up and sent to the candidates so that they can respond to them as they see fit, either directly to you or on their websites. That is their choice. Brian Jenkins with the Progressives is right back here. Brian, I'm going to walk to you because he's got another forum that's coming up, and I want him to tell you just 30 seconds about it.
Same thing, but on Zoom, January 29th, 7 p.m. Get in touch with me, and I'll give you an invite. And feel free to submit questions. So, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have just been marvelous. You're here for a reason. You're here because you care about the Democratic Party. All of these candidates care about our Democratic Party. Let's rise as one, give them all a hand, and we are dismissed.
Hello, congrats. Oh, sorry, Joe. Go out. Thank you, Mr. Gossett. Yes, okay. Yeah, there's a step here saying that.
Not there. That's what you did. Okay, I think I had to. Yeah, no, that's such oh, yeah. And then there's no way to say that. I'm like, that's and if they're not sure, and they said she had to trust and then if somebody says something that's outside of like the Bible, then it's like, oh, well, you're actually.
And was like, well, I don't know what but I know that is not shop. Yeah. That's how we're there. No, she's not. It's not. That's not how it's like, what? Like, oh, it's gotta be her. Strong supporter? Yeah, it's gotta be her. Oh, no, this person did. You know what? That's insane. That's insane. Then how do you guys know that who's the best one? Which was probably not fun because the way they see things, I want yeah, that's oh, because they make that's called lip drop. And then I found second coming back out. And they said in the same area, they do some of the just so even though it wasn't no 900,000 that was canvassed by the North Carolina Democratic Party. That is everybody. So you're like, what are you talking about? We had 900,000. We're like, oh, but you're Thank you. Okay.